Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara. In today's video, we will talk about the greatest Bankai in the story of Bleach, Yamamoto's Bankai Zanka no Tachi, by discussing the events of episode 6 of the new Bleach season. This episode is frankly great in terms of everything, especially the way the events of the fighting were presented, and the powerful and the important additions that made the fight that took place between the fake Yuhabach and Yamamoto carry a lot of new information that we can talk about. First of all, and before we go into talking about these episode events, I must explain to the anime viewers something very important, because in this episode this page that explains the mechanism of Royd's power wasn't shown. So I'm going to say for the millionth time that this guy is Royd Lloyd. He did not copy the power of Yuhabach, rather he was fighting Yamamoto with his own strength. He just copies the personality, behaviors and the mind of Yuhabach. In another meaning, we're talking about one of the most powerful generator in the story of Bleach, being that he was fighting without the strength of his Schrift, but only with his raw Quincy power. And I'll talk about that in detail. So the beginning of the episode started with a scene that wasn't in the manga, but rather a continuation of what Yuri was doing to investigate the identity of the Wanderer by reading his grandfather's book. Frankly, I'm amazed. How did Sokin come to such information regarding even the Shinigami side? I had never thought that Sokin would have such information. He had even the drawing of what the old man looked like 1,000 years ago. Sokin Ishida, that bastard. Even though he's dead, Yuhabach should have put him at number 0 in terms of 6 traits, not 5. And you can notice also the horror the queen sees while they are surrounded by the fire of Zanka no Tachi. This drawing reminds me of this famous painting. This horror that was formed on the faces of these quincies is conclusive evidence that the Bankai was like a nightmare for the Wanderreich 1000 years ago, and it made them develop the medal to steal the Bankai, because Yuhabach knows for sure that he will not be able to face Yamamoto's Bankai in a battle face to face. That's why Yuhabach, the first thing he did was to use Royd, because Royd had the necessary strength to keep up with Yamamoto in the Shikai mode. Secondly, and this is the most important thing, Royd will copy Yuhabach's character, meaning he will speak the same as his words, even the body language will be the same as Yuhabach. So Yamamoto will be difficult for him to discover that the one in front of him is not actually Yuhabach, especially since Yamamoto was blended by anger. Thus, all these things made Yamamoto unable to discover the trap he was in. At the same time, Yuhabach headed to the Moken to meet Aizen Sosuke, and we will talk about that later. So the thing that I like the most, before the old man released the Bankai, is this clash between Yamamoto and Royd, or the fake Yuhabach. Notice how strong Royd is, guys. First, he received a direct attack from Ryujin Jakka with his bare arm, and you can also see the power of Royd in this clash too. I'm not saying that Royd would have defeated or even be equal to the strength of the old man Shikai. No, I'm just showing you how powerful he is and why he was able to defeat Zaraki. So the plan was perfect from the real Yuhabach to make Yamamoto fight the wrong opponent, but in general the anime did a great job in showing us the horror that occurs when the old man has released the Bankai. And keep in mind that the serenity and the Soul Society weather was normal like a spring weather. The important thing is that it was a normal weather with a moderate heat, but as soon as the old man released Zanka no Tachi, the climate has changed. It literally became a desert climate. This all happened and the old man has just released the Bankai. Okitaki's throat dried up. Poor Isani felt her skin dry, but Unohana, this wise woman, knowing what was going on, she said to herself, "Hurry up Yamamoto, or you will destroy the Soul Society with your own power." And imagine with me guys that those in a place far from the battlefield were feeling very hot. Even Toshiro's Bankai was melting from the heat. What about who was near to the old man? Frankly, I don't know how Zaraki escaped from that atmosphere of the battle. Did the old man do something that made him not be exposed to that excessive heat or what? I don't know. The important thing is that Hika-san, I mean Hashvald, was also one of the people who saw the Bankai for the first time. He initially wondered how could be a shard sword without any apparent strength is a Bankai, and here the fake Yhwach will warn Hashvald that he shouldn't underestimate Zankanotachi. So the fake Yhwach, and in the light of the memories he has of the real Yhwach, he believed that Yamamoto's Bankai is like the one he saw 1000 years ago. Bankai collects fire in the blade, and therefore any blow from that blade will explode in the place of the strike with fire. But what the fake Yhwach saw was something else. Yamamoto attacked him and cut off his robe without there being any fires or explosions, and here Yhwach would start to feel that something was strange. This is not the Bankai he saw 1000 years ago. What's going on? But after the second hit, Yhwach understood it all. The edge of the blade removes everything it touches, and this was the Zankanotachi East. Because of the temperature gathered at the edge of the blade, the offensive power of the blade has gone beyond the stage of burning with fire. It have even reached a further stage. It removes the things from existence as soon as it touches it. And this is what we saw in this strike. And keep in mind guys that Yamamoto used the Zankanotachi East with only one head. And so imagine with me if Yamamoto used the East Zankanotachi with the Kendo style. Definitely would be something else. And so the fake Yhwach thought that as long as all of the Bankai's power was concentrated in the blade, so all he needs to do is to attack the old man's body directly. And here where he went wrong. As long as there is Zankanotachi East, there is a West one. And here lies the greatness of this legendary Bankai. Zankanotachi gives you absolute attack, and the West is the ultimate defense. The old man becomes covered with a Ryatsu, which makes the Bankai temperature reach 15 million degrees Celsius, to the point that Syrity floor can no longer handle that heat. The heat makes everything that touches the old man melt and become a lava. Hashvald commented on this topic saying, there can be no visible temperature in this average degree, 50 million degrees. No doubt it's the old man's Ryatsu. And this is where the importance of Ryatsu lies. Old man's Ryatsu has reached an extraordinary level, so that even approaching him it becomes impossible. How can you approach a person with such temperature? Royd said that if it wasn't for the blood vein, he would have been ashes. The latter tried to attack using cross but in vain, and therefore he decided to use one of the most powerful offensive and defensive techniques. And this is one of the things that made me admire Royd, because he gave us the opportunity to see Quincy techniques, not just the power of the Schrift. And this technique in itself is one of the most powerful defensive and offensive techniques, to the extent that even Yamamoto did not want to advance inside it, but decided to use the Zankanotachi South. And here the studio in the midst of the fight was giving us some glimpse of the fight that occurred 1000 years ago between Yhwach and Yamamoto. It is noted here that Yamamoto was using the Zankanotachi West so that he was covered with fire, while he used the Zankanotachi West at a level lower than we have seen, so that the fire would explode whenever he hit using his sword, because some believe that Yamamoto developed the Bankai during the 1000 years that followed that first fight, and that these sides of the Bankai didn't exist in the past, and this is something wrong. I already said that in the official translation of the manga, the old man stressed that even 1000 years ago he did not fight with his full strength, meaning that the four sides were already there 1000 years ago, but he didn't use them in their full strength when he fought Yhwach 1000 years ago. He only used probably two, the west and east. We even saw Sasakibe, and I don't know if it was a symbolic scene or was Sasakibe really there and fought alongside the old man. And so, as I said, Yamamoto used the Zankanotachi South. And I see it as a psychological attack more than an attack of a certain strength, because seeing the corpses of your former followers wants to kill you, it will surely make you feel terrified. And this is what the fake Yhwach felt. This scene was really scary, as if the battlefield turned into a piece of hell. Yhwach is surrounded by that army of zombies, an army that was fighting with him, and now it was against him. As for the Zankanotachi North, you know what it reminded me of? Ichigo's technique Muigetsu. The Zankanotachi North, it can be said, it's like the final force or power of Zankan is. It removes everything in front of it. So the fake Yhwach hadn't a chance against that attack. Even the blood vein didn't save him. But unfortunately, all that mighty power was gone and hidden, because Yamamoto was fighting someone other than Yhwach. And here we will see one of the greatest additions in this episode, the dialogue of Yhwach and Aizen. And as you know, there are 5 characters whom Yhwach considers to be the 5 threats to the Quincy's. First, he mentioned Ichigo, then Zaraki, and then Aizen. So Yhwach decided to go to Aizen, and instead of being a threat, why not inviting him to be by his side? And so we saw their first meeting. The most important thing is that Aizen said that he had prior knowledge of Yhwach. Probably he had read about him in a book. And by the way, the novel confirmed that Aizen knew there was a king of the Quincy who fought Yamamoto 1,000 years ago, but he had never seen him. So he said that he never expected to see Yhwach directly. And Yhwach imagined that Aizen also had the same goal, which is to destroy the Soul Society. But Aizen's goal is different from Yhwach, so he refused. And so the real Yhwach emerged from behind Yamamoto, and the latter discovered the trick too late. First, he drained a large part of his strength in fighting Royd, and even when he wanted to release the Bankai again, Yhwach stole it from him. And this also blew up the old man's theory, who thought that the Quincy wouldn't be able to steal his Bankai because they didn't know his full power. Not so, it's just that no one was able to steal his legendary Bankai except the real Yhwach. And so the real Yhwach attacked with a fatal attack, and that was the end of the episode. Frankly, it was a great episode. It carries a lot of new events for the manga readers, also for the anime viewers. And I really liked the fight, especially that we have seen, as I said, new information that I won't talk about them in my upcoming videos because it can be a spoilers for the anime viewers. So guys, tell me what you think about that battle, what did you like, what did you didn't like, and see you in my next video.